Let's talk about big things. Let's talk about exciting things. Let's talk about digital environments, worlds. Let's get right into this, man. This is exciting stuff today.
Hi everyone, and welcome again to the Crypto Game. We're joined this week by Pietro and Shane as always. Excuse my voice, I'm just recovering from COVID. Let's not focus on that. Let's jump straight into the game because there is nothing that's stopping us from doing this.
Oh my God. Game on, Stockholm boy. Where is your SwissBorg merch? Like, what is that thing you're wearing on the hat? Get a proper SwissBorg merch. Get on point. Yeah? Let's do this.
Me and Pietro just discussed, we both have laundry day today, so my apologies. I should actually have.
Yeah, that's the excuse we're going with, sure.
Let's talk about big things. Let's talk about exciting things. Let's talk about digital environments, worlds. Let's get right into this, man. This is exciting stuff today.
Exactly. So we have a little bit of a theme this week, and we're going to start it off by one of the more recognized name, Sandbox or Sand. What do we think? In 3, 2, 1.
Come on, let's go. Let's get bullish on Sand.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. So I'll look at this from a zoomed out perspective. First of all, quickly discuss Sand itself. But the first time I accessed it, I was a massive fan. I'm a fan of Minecraft, or at least I was a few years ago. So the aesthetics is really in line with what I like. But overall, from a more zoomed out perspective, just seeing the potential of the metaverse for the first time, actually seeing NFTs being displayed, seeing companies' names in the metaverse, advertising and putting out their name, it really shows you that the future will be in the metaverse, at least in part. And I'm very excited for it. And I see Sandbox as one of the leaders in that, really.
Yeah, I love what they do. They're a community-driven platform where, of course, creators can monetize assets and gaming experiences on chain. Listen, you have to step back and look at the technology. It never goes backwards. From the early days of getting online all the way through mobile, then obviously with regards to social media, gaming, like it's very obvious how the physical and digital, and when you look at the younger generations, how they deem digital items to have the same value as someone as old as me with gray hair as physical items. And when you start to see that convergence, this is going to be unstoppable. We already are living digital lives. You know, it started with an email address. That's how we got identified. You know, then it moved on to your profile picture on Facebook. You know, now it's moving into avatars and everything around that. And when you have something as strong as a creator economy and remuneration for creators, that is an unstoppable formula. So San, I'm sure, are going to do very well on the back of that.
Being a bit biased, of course, coming from the country that brought people Minecraft, the Decentraland, the metaverse, the Sandbox uses very much the same graphic. Key for them is going to be adoption, right? And it's going to be to make it easy for people not to only interact with the metaverse environment that they create, but to have people come there and create content. That's one of the big drivers that we've seen with games like Minecraft. Recently, I was in the metaverse and played it a bit. Something that is fantastic is not only how many brands they got coming in and releasing, doing product launches, releasing events. They got people like Snoop Dogg doing concerts and whatnot in this metaverse, but they're also enabling the everyday person like me to create NFTs, to create gameplay in a very easy way. I was speaking to Pietro about this earlier. It's nearly as easy to develop and launch a game in Sandbox as it is to build a Shopify site. And I was in on Fiverr looking at people actually creating jobs already. So you already got a culture, you got a movement that is growing. Allegedly, they also got 16 million users on mobile and tablet. We know that mobile and tablet is going to be key going forward for adoption. They say they have roughly 300,000 monthly active users. It seems to be a bit on a discrepancy depending on which source you check there. But I think now is a very interesting time. All the metaverse tokens were very much overhyped in the beginning of the cycle this year. Now I think could be a very attractive entry point to a couple of these different projects. Now is when the work is getting done. the gameplay is laid out, and more companies, but also people find it and start experimenting with it, creating value in these ecosystems. So it's a thumbs up for me.
Has gone from 1 to 6 back to 1 again. Absolutely. This is when you would start to look like having conviction. For me, once I've seen it, I cannot unsee it. It's plain and simple. There is going to be a time factor with this, as there is with all long technologies. But this for me is the way forward. It will be the way that people will communicate, play, challenge, remunerate, buy, sell, and everything else, that even weird and wonderful stuff we've never even thought about yet. So let's go.
Wonderful. Okay, so for our next token, we have a bit of a special one. We have Filecoin in 3, 2, 1. What do we think? Interesting. Pietro, take the lead.
No one too positive on this one, I see. So, first time I heard of Filecoin, I was very interested by just the mission, which was, I mean, in one line, it's really just to store all of humanity's most important knowledge for our future, right? And to do that from a blockchain perspective. So I think for people that weren't necessarily in the crypto space and that wanted something a bit more palpable, I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly, but something that was a bit more tactile, like more understandable for them, right? If they hear about Ethereum, it's very confusing what's actually going on, how it works. Filecoin is a little easier to understand. But I don't see any more interesting price action or any more attractiveness than when it first launched. Then this idea, right? This let's say, I would call it a very long-term and innovative idea. But I haven't seen anything since then, and you don't really hear about Filecoin either that much at the moment. So I think when the market corrects and re-enters a sort of initial bull run, I'm not sure if Filecoin would be the one that I would go for. I would much rather hold the sand, for example.
Yeah, uncomparable on every different level. Filecoin's got a use case. It's open source. It's cloud storage. It's got a marketplace, a protocol, and an incentive layer. That's about as much as I want to spend on Filecoin, or any type of data storage, or open source storage. I'm sorry, there's just way too many more exciting things in my life, and file storage is definitely not one of them, but good luck.
I got to sort of jump on that, Shane, a bit, and I think people misunderstood Filecoin when it came out. I think people went in their head, oh, it's a Dropbox. Dropbox make money. That is going to be an equivalent of that in the blockchain space. But what people, in my opinion, fail to understand is that that's not really the use case right now, at least for a blockchain. It's not necessarily where we want to store gigabytes or terabytes of information in a cheap, accessible, good way. That's not really the purpose and use case of blockchain right now. Looking at the PS value as well, is 374. That's twice as high as Ethereum. Ethereum has a lot more potential upside than Filecoin, in my opinion. So for that reason, it's a clear no. I think people thought Dropbox in blockchain, that's going to make money. In my opinion, that's not the use case of blockchain right now. Maybe that is in 5 years, but it's not where we want to store gigabytes of data to access and to retrieve it and to store it in a good way. So for that, it's a no. Lastly, we have the other behemoth in the metaverse space. We have Decentraland, or Mana as their token is called. In 3, 2, 1, what do we think?
Yeah, let's go.
Pietro, take it.
Yeah, so similar macro perspective as Sand, with some minor, let's say, personal experiences. So first time that I accessed Decentraland, my honest opinion was, what's going on? It's very clunky, like very laggy gameplay, and coming from someone that mostly enjoyed gaming not too long back, you also want that kind of very seamless and fluid experience. And I was very stupid to think that back then, because if I'd actually gotten on the platform and used it a bit more, I could have gotten a lot of utility and a lot of maybe also performance personally, financially from that. But in general, it shows you where we're headed. This is the very beginning of a metaverse that, of course, is going to be a bit clunky at the start. And as more companies, as more users join, and as more interest grows, this is going to become better and better and higher quality. And at some point, it's going to be completely comparable to what we maybe experience on PlayStation or on gaming PCs nowadays. But there will be this monetization aspect. And full on customization for users. So if I'm bullish on Sandbox, I'm absolutely bullish on Mana as well. And both of these are excellent buys on the SwissBorg app if you want to go for the metaverse play. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just going to follow on from that. I group these very much the same. They are a play on metaverses, and Decentraland is no different. A 3D virtual world. It's a browser-based platform, and users, of course, can buy plots of land and build, create, and sell them as NFTs. You know, virtual destination for digital assets, I think, is just a great way to sum it up. I think for me, I've seen this all before. Like, I understand the way this is going to play out. I know how this ends, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just a constant virtual rendering world. And isn't that amazing? So yeah, things take time, especially amazing things like this, but you have to have the vision. And that's what makes my decision. So you can quote me on that, man. If you don't have the vision, you can't make the decision. I see it. It's going to happen. You guys are kids. You got to get some patience in there, whatever you do. This is where it's going. Think long-term investment horizon. And really what you got to look at is you got to look at the kids of today. And I'm not talking about you two beautiful young gentlemen. You got to look at the younger kids today, you know, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds, and look what they're doing in technology. And all you got to do is give a 2 or 3-year-old a phone. They already know basic commands on iPhones. You know, they can already get into Minecraft. You know, they're already looking at different games. They're already looking at assets. They're already in a virtual land. So you can imagine when those 5-year-olds get to 15-year-olds and they start coding and programming, just how much of an uptick this will have. So yeah, baby, I'll see you in the metaverse.
Very well said, Shane.
Wonderful. And just to add some last statistics on that. So Decentraland, I think, had the earlier mover advantage, but they don't actually have the same activity numbers. So they're looking at roughly 200,000 monthly active users compared to Sandbox 300. These are also from maybe not the most reliable sources. There seems to be some conflicting data. In my opinion, Sand is the leader. Sandbox is doing a bit of a catch-up game. They don't have the same community commitment. They don't have the same asset generation or creation of gameplay as Sandbox have. In addition to that, Sand is going to be available for earn strategies on the SwissBorg app. So if you want to get involved in metaverse, you can always pick up some Sand on the best crypto app, SwissBorg, and then stake it to earn some passive income. That's everything from me. I'm over now. I need to rest, let this COVID get out of my body. But I want to thank Pietro and Shane so very much for joining me this week again.
No COVID in the metaverse, baby.
Not yet.
True. Go beyond that.